demos ahead, and making sure you're tracking meticulously the amount of appointments you have ahead. There's a metric, whereas for every demo you have ahead is how much you're on pace to sell for the push. So if you have 3 appointments ahead, you're typically on pace to sell around 3K for the contest. If you have 5, you're on pace to sell 5K. If you have 10, you're on pace to sell 10K. So it's just thinking about, well, what is my goal for the contest and how many demos ahead do I have? Is my demos ahead pacing towards where I want to be? So like, let's say like if you're at 3K for the push and you only have 3 demos ahead, well, if all 3 of those are no sales, you're still only at 3K for the push, right? But if we have 10 appointments ahead of us and 3 of them are no sales, well, then we have 7 sales ahead of us. And that's what's going to keep the needle moving. So it's really just, in my opinion, the biggest thing you can do for a contest is have your demos always booked up ahead. So whether that means today, like maximizing phone time, obviously today the best phone time is going to be from 5:30 till 8:30 p.m. and just trying to get the most out of it. Even right now is great phone time. And if we have time, I think it's worth it to make calls before going back to bed this morning and then taking a nap, just to get an appointment or 2 booked up. But it's worth it to maximize the morning phone time and the evening phone time. And then setting goals for yourself and phoning till you hit the goal. So I was really big on tracking my calls on paper. I used to use a call tracker back in the day. Trey, do you mind giving me screen sharing privileges? And let's see. This isn't the exact call tracker I use. This is something I use for more of office call tracking, but it's the same concept. I'll just pull it up for time's sake, and just having a way that you're tracking your calls. So back in the day, I used to have like a paper, it went up to 100. And every time I made a call, I just crossed it off, crossed it off, crossed it off, crossed it off. It kept me focused on the action, not the result of making calls, because sometimes if we're focused on how many appointments we're booking up versus how many calls we're putting in, it can get easy to get distracted in the end result, not the effort that needs to get put in to get the end result. And with phoning, it really, what matters not is how many demos you're booking, but how many calls that you're making. And so it's just like with gambling, right? Like with a slot machine, the more times you play, the higher chance you have of hitting. It's the same thing with calls. The more times you make the calls, the more chances you have to book the demos. So I'm a big believer in having call goals going into every single call session. And so for me, I would be like, okay, well, I have a 10-to-1 ratio. I need to book 4 demos, which means I need to make 40 calls. And I would circle the 40 number on there, and I just would not stop till I hit 40. It didn't matter if I booked my 4 already. I just knew, I sat down and I was committed to making 40 calls. So thinking about for yourself, how do you create a goal that you're fully committed to and that you're excited to hit? You're going to be dedicated to hitting, and holding yourself accountable to that number. A couple of other easy ways that you can get demos booked up around the push, besides just making the calls, is the 5 before and 5 after concept. But something else that I was really big on as a rep, which is the alley-oop method. So has Trey taught you alley-ooping? Just so I know I'm not being too redundant. No. Okay. So alley-ooping is essentially where you use your current demo to get yourself another demo. And it makes it really easy to book up really high quality demos into your schedule, because your customers are only going to call their friends they think are really going to buy. So essentially an alley-oop is when you're getting recs at the end of the appointment, you'll look at all of the recs on the sheet and just say, hey, if you were me, like who on this list would you want to see first? And that's a big question if we're not asking that every time to have star customers. The reason I was so consistent with sales is I would only focus on star customers. So I'd get a ton of recs, but then I'd have my customers that were more qualified in my referrals mine than others, and really pouring energy into those top leads. This is how you'll always elevate your network too. So you just want to make sure you're focused on that. But then when you get your top lead saying, hey, by the way, I'm like 1 or 2 appointments short of my goal over the next couple of days, it would mean the absolute world to me if one of these 2 or 2 of these people were available. Do you know of anyone on this list, or any of your suggested people have time over the next day or 2 to see me? And that's how you start to like warm up the ask, and they'll be like, yeah, this this person might have some time and this person might have some time. And then I would say, awesome. So, what I can do for you is I can tack on a free gadget, veggie peeler, ice cream scoop, something for them onto your order today. If you wouldn't mind calling them really quick and just helping me book that appointment and encouraging the customer to book the appointment for you instead of you booking the appointment yourself. You can leave a demo with 1 or 2 more appointments booked and not have to put a ton of effort into the output there. So, those are just some thoughts to really make that work. You have to make sure you're asking for recs before you put the order into the system. So that way, while they're calling, you're putting their order into the system and you have the freedom to tack on free items. So just make sure you're always asking for recs before the order goes into the system there. And then that's really my main thoughts here. I didn't have a ton. I really would love for us to phone this morning. That was really my goal, to see if we could get some appointments or 2 booked up. But those are just my main thoughts for getting off to a strong week. I think what really matters less is like focusing on the customer and instead focusing on the numbers and like how many people we're plugging into the schedule, how many demos we can get. But those are my main thoughts there. Trey, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what you were saying, is phone jams win pushes. As simple as that. Whoever has the most demos booked will sell the most. You could have the biggest ballers customer list, but it doesn't matter if you don't have demos ahead. I've personally done a lot of push weeks where I got cocky in the first half because I had like a really good start. Like I might have had like a 6K week, or like got off to like a 4 or 5K week. And I was like, oh, week 2 is going to be light work. And so I just didn't book as many demos and I fell short of my goal every single time. Now, I've had a couple 10K pushes in my career. And what I've learned from my past mistakes was phone time was key. So the more that you're on the phone, the more that you press dial, that's what you guys should be focused on. I've gotten caught up in the CPO before and fallen short. I've gotten caught up in the cancellations, no sales, and reschedules, and I've fallen short before. Now, every single time that I have hit my goal of whatever my sales goal was for push, it was because I was focusing on the numbers of metrics that Jenna was saying. Like when you have 3 demos ahead, 5 demos ahead, 7 demos ahead, 10 demos ahead. And as a Cutco rep, I always felt super uncomfortable when I had less than 10 demos ahead at any given point, at any given moment, because can we control whether or not someone shows up to our demo? Nah, not really. Like we kind of have that influence, but not really. And so for me, I wanted to guarantee that I was hitting my goals. I wanted to guarantee that I was making money, and I wanted to guarantee that I would have people ahead. And the only way I could guarantee that was having more than 10 plus demos ahead at any given time. So definitely make phone calls and book demos. Demos equals sales. Demos equals money. Demos equal happy.
Have you guys watched Wolf of Wall Street?
Too many times.
I love that scene. Do you know which scene I'm talking about?
Yeah, when he's like on the phone and like they're like over him watching.
Yeah. That's how I always imagined myself as a rep when I was new. I was like, get this.
Cool. Well, Jeff, you want to kick off? You want to kick off a quick phone jam?
Yeah. I was gonna pull up the fun phoning Wolf of Wall Street clip really quick so we can have Leonardo DiCaprio yell at us this morning about being phone savages, and then let's see.
All right. Well, before we play that, because I'm gonna post this video on YouTube, we can't put a YouTube video in a YouTube video for copyright reasons. So, with that being said, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. New Olean push videos come out every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. right here, right now. Hit that bell. Let's go.